CEC members, comrades, and friends, especially friends from the NTUC. May I welcome you to this first convention after this year's general election. We had a hard-fought general election. We thank the activists for your efforts and your contributions, without which our victory would not have been possible. We won 60% of the votes, a strong mandate by most standards, but it was still a watershed election, one that we have to study, one that we have to learn the lessons from, and which we must act upon to do better the next time. The party chairman earlier shared with us all our analysis of the results. The conclusions he outlined are the result of extensive discussions with the branches, with the activists, with our MPs, with many people over several months. And you have heard just now MPs who came up and spoke about their experiences and perspectives, Mr. Inderjit, Mr. Nispua, Sito, Intan, and the others. Some old, some new, giving their perspective on what the GE meant, how things have changed, how we must change. And the analysis is not just to understand what happened, but it leads to recommendations and actions, and to strengthen the party for the future, for the next election and beyond. We should see this current situation in the perspective of the party. The party has been in existence more than 50 years. I would divide our history into three very broad phases. The first phase, from the beginning of the party in 1954 to perhaps after separation in 1965, about 10 years, when politics dominated the work of the party. We started as an opposition party, not in the government. And our aim was independence from the British colonial rule, to get self-government and then to get independence. And this quest for nationhood and self-determination drove the founding fathers of the party, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, Mr. Dr. Goh Keng Swee, Toh Chin Chai, Rajaratnam, Ahmad Ibrahim, and so on. Politics was the essence of their struggle. And their task was to mobilize the public, form a mass movement, win power in the elections, and form the government. Get into power so that you can do things. After getting into power, there was a break with the Barisan Socialists in 1961, and politics became even more important than before. It became a life and death fight between the non-communists in the PAP and the communists or pro-communists in the Barisan Socialists. The PAP stayed true to our cause, fought for our beliefs, fortunately prevailed, took Singapore into Malaysia. And then that did not work out. We found ourselves independent. The second phase of our history started after independence, when policies dominated. The Barisan Socialists made a mistake. They left Parliament, they ceded the ground to the PAP expanded, occupied the whole ground, became the dominant party in Singapore. With this dominant position, assured that it could focus on government, the PAP rallied Singaporeans around the task of nation building. And we focused on the right policies to build Singapore, many of them. Economic growth, to create jobs and to reduce unemployment. A strong SAF to keep ourselves safe and secure. A home for every Singaporean. At first just a roof, and then a home to own, to call your own. And therefore, we transformed Singaporeans' lives and took Singapore from third world to first. The successful policies translated into support for the party and a whole generation of voters who experienced the journey, bonded with their PAP, linked up, and the policies were the focus of the party. Following this year's general election, we are now in a new phase. The world has changed. There's more uncertainty, more volatility. Things change faster. You don't know what is going to happen next. And we are under greater competitive pressure from China, from India, Vietnam. And the pressure is not just on unskilled workers, but increasingly even on our middle-income, average Singaporeans, feeling the pressure. Meanwhile, Singapore is also evolving. A new generation of Singaporeans has different aspirations, more diverse perspectives, different experiences. We are in a new political environment, more vocal, with more demands for accountability, for participation, for checks and balances. We have the social media, making it easier to speak out and to be heard. Some people call it TGIF, Twitter, Google, iPhone, Facebook. But they didn't put SMS, which you can see, or you could see just now on the screen. It has changed the world, it is changing our society, and it's particularly rapidly changing the way our young people think, interact, organize, mobilize, approach politics. And therefore, we need both good policies and good politics. We cannot go back to politics alone. We still need good policies because we still need to think and plan ahead how to build more homes, more hospitals, how to improve our schools. We need to overcome problems together. How are we going to raise the incomes of Singaporeans, especially the less skilled workers? We have to make difficult trade-offs. For example, do we choose less foreign workers, which means slower growth, or do we choose a more vibrant economy, which may mean we have to accept more foreign workers? And we've got to get people to work together as a team under good leadership whom they trust and who understand and represent them well. And these are things which you must do, as Denise Pua says, in a first world country, and that needs thinking, working together, hard work, good policies, and not just easy criticisms. But we also must recognize that policies alone are no longer sufficient, because we must fight the politics, carry the ground, convey a message that resonates with our people, and inspires Singapore to aim high and strive for further goals. We can do better. We can overcome our problems. We know where we are going. Let's do it. When politics was less prominent over the last 40-plus years after independence, the PAP as a party could play a less prominent role, less active role in between elections. It could leave the business of government to the cabinet, to the ministers, work hard behind the scenes, serve residents quietly, and come elections, let the quiet groundwork and the record of the government speak for themselves. But now the situation is different. The party has to engage many different groups. It must involve people in issues which affect them more actively. It must foster a more open, a more constructive discussion. At the same time, it has to guide the public agenda so that we influence people and work together with them to move forward together towards working for a better life for all. We have also to be tactical, to track and counter opposition moves on all fronts. And that means, all this means, engage actively in politics, even in between general elections. The recommendations in the General Election Review address both policies as well as politics. Good policies which will benefit Singaporeans, smart politics which will win support for the party and for what it is trying to do, so that the PAP can govern in the interests of Singaporeans. As Party Chairman explained in his speech, we need to get the substance of the policies right. We need to communicate and connect with people. We need to strengthen our party organization and also work the ground and ensure that we have broad-based, deep support. And these are recommendations which we are already following through to implement. In brief, we have to reinvent ourselves in the party and build a new PAP for a new era, one that's much more vibrant and dynamic, one that reaches out to a wider range of Singaporeans and will work as a partner with and for all our people. A PAP that's more in sync with the mood of the times and that responds to and expresses the aspirations of Singaporeans. How will it work differently? If you ask me concretely, what is the change? I would say this. We need to be less centralized, more interactive. More initiatives from the ground up, fewer top-down directions. Members more empowered, MPs more empowered, many more of us generating ideas, debating issues, contributing to set the direction of the party. We have heard a range of the views just now, from Intan to Inderjit to Denise. Backbenchers, people with ideas, people with passion, people who want to make things happen, and who can make common cause in the party to realize what they want to do. And we should give them full opportunities to do so. This year's convention is a good example of how it's done. It's organized by the Party Policy Forum, the PPF. Many activists have been involved to determine the agenda, to discuss the contents of today's convention. We conducted pre-convention meetings at the district level. All the districts were involved. We had many activists participate. The discussions were closed door, but very frank and valuable. And among the MPs too, when the MPs caucus, we have vigorous debates amongst ourselves. What to do, how to change, how to present it, which line to take. And we will do more of this in the party, whether through our policy forums, whether through our GPCs, whether with the youth wings, whether with the young PAP or the women's wing. We want all the different pieces of the party to have ideas, to express their views, and to debate them, and eventually to come together into one coherent direction which appeals to Singaporeans and wins the support of a wide range of Singaporeans. So the success in reinventing the party depends on all of our members. Every member has a role to play. It requires a shift in our mindsets, in our behaviors, among the leaders, to reach out to many more activists and volunteers, to be more inclusive and approachable, and to be seen to be so, and to reach out beyond the party so that we are not just a party on its own, but a party with rings of support outside, successive rings, people who identify with us, people who will speak up for us, people who will cheer us along and help us to succeed. MPs and backbenchers too need to play bigger roles, stepping up, speaking up, reaching out. You may ask, how do you do that? I give you one example of an MP who does that actively, and that's Denise Phua. She wears white. She is a core party member. She has passionate views. She pushes for them. And we give weight to her views, and I think we have shifted. We have shifted some of our policies, not all of them, in response to her advocacy. Because we believe what she says makes sense. Doesn't mean we do everything which Denise has asked for or which any other MP has asked for. But that attitude that she will push, that she will make change happen, and that working inside the party to change it is a good way to deliver results, is an attitude which we would like many of our MPs to have, and even non-MPs. Because if you have that attitude, maybe you may become an MP the next time. So we want all our groups to be like that too. The YP, the Women's Wing, our divisions, our branches. Surface ideas proactively based on your direct experiences. Speak candidly, honestly, but at the same time, look at things from an overall perspective, not just what will help me to win the headline today, but what is sensible for me to say and good for the party and for Singapore in the long term. It is equally critical to the success of the party that we should not only be active within us, but be able to win support from the broader public. And beyond voting for the PAP in elections, we want a broader range of support from Singaporeans, as I said briefly just now, to be part of a broad coalition of active supporters and stakeholders, people who will engage us in a productive dialogue, people who will be our advocates and opinion multipliers. We will work hard to win this support from those who are not yet wearing white and white. But I ask Singaporeans, all Singaporeans, to stand up for what they believe in, what they think will be good for their future and for Singapore's future. Do not assume that things will take care of themselves, that somebody else is in charge, all will be well. In a fiercely contested political environment, every supporter counts. Every individual's view matters. And if you are convinced that we are going in the right direction, if we can convince you that we are going in the right direction, then go beyond voting for us. Stand up with us, speak up for us, blog for us, Twitter for us, and be part of the broad group of Singaporeans who say, let's move together, let's move ahead, let's make Singapore better.